Now, as far as, of course, fight stuff, we got a lot to talk about. I
Yeah,
recently spoke with Matt Frevola, one of your many Sarah Longo guys, of course, in the
yeah.
UFC, and he said you're recovering from the hip surgery over the summer really well. He said you really turned a corner now. How would you describe where you're at in your recovery?
I'm pretty good, man. Right now, yeah, I feel good. I'm back to holding the mitts. The doctor said like another, I think like November 16th, I could do whatever I want to do. So I feel great, but I'm trying to still not screw anything up. I don't want to go backwards. And the fear of that hip popping out was keeping me in check. But I'm working out. I'm holding pads. I'm back, kind of back to normal. I'm doing 90% of the stuff I want to do.
And that'll be just after Madison Square Garden too. So I mean, you're what do you be at 90%, 95%?
I'm gonna be pretty good. Yeah, I'm gonna be at. I'll be walking up the stairs for the first time in 4 years, probably. So that's good. I'm happy about that. But yeah, it's good to get back with the guys because I mean I was in there, but I was in pain. It was bad. It was actually bad. It's almost a miracle. I got no pain and I'm walking around. I just want to make sure I don't screw it up and make it worse for like 5 years from now. That's going to be the hard part. I don't want no revisions, nothing. I don't want to go back to the hospital. I'm a baby.
Sure, sure. And I've seen you at events, and it looks like obviously it was a little tougher. So I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
seeing you moving around in a couple of weeks at the Garden.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I was bro. You know what's funny? I never realized how bad it was, but when people were telling me, I was like, "Look, I feel bad. I don't feel that bad, but I know towards the end it had to look horrible." Because, dude, I'd come out of that octagon and like there'd be like 10 guys from the commission holding their hands out trying to get me. I never even saw me. It was crazy. It was so I'm happy. I'm happy for the guys fighting and everything's coming together at the same time, which is awesome.
Sure, sure. And this is for Bola's his third time fighting in a row in the New York metro area, twice at the Garden, of course. He's there November 11th. He'll be there cornering him. You've cornered a lot of fights now at Madison Square Garden since it was sanctioned for pro in New York. Is there anything special to you still about getting to do what you do in such a storied venue in the Garden?
Uh, look, the more you do anything, right, you do get used to it. But it's what I think what makes it special to me is the guys that there's three guys fighting. Rola's been there, and as a coach, I'm always good with like we're always winning, and he's always won at the guard. Like Sarah never won a fight on the East Coast ever. I'm gonna say he was undefeated in Vegas until the Hughes fight, and I actually thought he won that. But New York didn't treat Weidman good either. Fravola's the first guy to really do good, so I'll ride that out. But I'm like excited for the guys that never fought there before. They're young, their parents get to see him fight at the guy. It's a pretty big deal, even for Fravola, even though it's his third time. It's still, I mean, to say you fought at Madison Square Garden is pretty big. So they take that with them for the rest of their lives. I mean, it still is kind of like the pinnacle of combat sports. How long that'll last, I don't know, but the Garden has so many great memories and fights, and these guys get to tag along on that. I think is absolutely fantastic.
I want to touch upon all three of those guys that are fighting, but I'm going to keep
Yeah,
Frivola for a little bit here because
yeah.
observationally, it seems like Frivola is really starting to endear himself a little differently to the fight fans in this area, kind of in a unique way, even for the guys from your gym in the past. Would you agree?
I think so. You know what it is? You know what it is, man. I'm not really. I'm not a social media guy, but I think he is doing better with that. I know he's got the podcast, obviously, and he seems like he's a people's guy. They do love him. So yeah, I think he doesn't have the depth of Weidman's following, but he is the following he's got. I think is more true blue. You know what I mean? I think those guys are Frivola fans, and that's it. Chris. He's probably got a million followers, but I don't know if he's got that core group of guys like Matt has right now.
And it seems like it's specific to this area too. I think Weidman has appeal that goes nationwide, possibly
Yeah,
probably worldwide. It's a little different with Frolla. I think he's really connected with New York. I think they kind of relate to somebody like him who's he's a fan of the Knicks and the Mets and the Jets and all this stuff,
yeah,
right?
yeah, 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 yeah. You're funny, man. He definitely is a fan of the Mets and the Jets for sure. Because I got to hear about it. He didn't even. We had to change the sparring time because the Jets game. I'm like, I go. actually insane, but let's do it, because it was a night. We changed it to the night, and I want to get some nighttime sparring in for the fight anyway. So, but yeah, he's definitely huge Jets and Mets fans. He's been in the Cohen's box. He loves it. I mean, he's a funny kid, man. He really is. So all of these guys embrace differently. I mean, like really differently. So Matty's a nice guy, and I think he's almost confused why. Like he's always, I was in the box. I was in. I like he almost doesn't believe it. Like where Weidman, he owns it. Like he feels like he should be there. You know what I mean? It was a totally. All the guys have different mindsets. It's pretty funny.
Of course, of course. And Frevola, he has got this knack for knockouts now, which is new for him. He didn't really have like kind of this reputation as a knockout guy. He's got three in a row now. A
Three
lot of
first round, three first round knockouts too. Even more
first
impressive.
round. Also, often about being backed up against the fence and even sort of moving backwards. He attributed that to those daily movement drills that you guys do. What else are you seeing in his evolution as a striker?
His awareness is way better. Like, so when I really went in there and took over for him, it was after the McKinney fight. And I just felt like he was just running in there swinging wild. Like there was no game plan. So we took him out. I made him go to the boxing class, and that class is all the pros. So I mean, you're getting good work. Just forcing him to get the just the spatial relationship, the awareness of a guy throwing at you. And I think again, he sees things differently now, and he's got the power, and he 100% has the balls. I mean, he's gonna fight. Like, I don't worry about what he's gonna do. You know what I mean? Like, I know he's gonna fight. I just want to make sure it's intelligent. And I think that's what we're seeing. He's definitely a smarter fighter. And, he could pick and choose his spots a little better now. And he does, obviously, hits hard because he does. I mean, even the Dober fight was phenomenal because Drew Dober is a really good stand up guy. So that was a big win. And this is a tough fight, because this guy's a grinder. He's coming forward, and he's got like a wrestling grind. So yeah, this is interesting. But yeah, I think so. I think all of those things really helped him, and we've been building, fight by fight, and I think that's what you're saying.
Sure, and you mentioned, of course, his upcoming fight, Benoit Saint Denis. A lot of people are looking at this, fans especially, are looking at this as like, well, this could be just an absolute crazy fight. I'm sure you don't want your guy to go out there and just make a crazy fight, without giving it away. I mean, what do you think is kind of key for Matt here?
The key is not to make it a crazy fight, which that's in his blood, man. That's his inclination. So you're going to see, he's going to be intelligent about it. He knows exactly what to expect, and I think he's good to go, man. Like again, I don't worry about him pulling the trigger. I worry about him getting crazy, like you say. But he's been definitely more patient, and he picks his shots, and he's not getting as excited as he used to. So I think it's all good. He had a great camp. Sunday night was phenomenal. If he fights the way he fought Sunday night, he 100% wins the fight.
Sure, sure. And of course, like you said, you've got two other guys on this card. You've got Nazim Sadykhov. You've got Dennis Buzukja. I want to first ask you about Nas though, because he's beaten since losing his debut. Has he been with you since the beginning?
No, he lost the debut, then he came to us. So he's actually undefeated since he's been here. He's really a super talented kid, and that's Frevola's main sparring partner. So they both get really good looks from each other, and I think it makes a world of difference. It really does. And Nas is a sharpshooter, very technical. He could do it all. So I'm excited for Nas too. He's got a really good fight to grow, which I like. It's a good fight. I think out of the three, probably Frevola's got the toughest fight on paper anyway. But yeah, Nas is really squared away. He's I think he's going to make some waves. They're all they're all helping each other become better. I mean, it's a good group of guys down there. They're all in the same weight category, luckily, and we don't have to really reach for outside sparring because these guys are real. They're all good. They're really, really good.
Sure, sure. And what is it that makes Nas so unique as a fighter? What makes him stand out to you?
Uh, I mean, he's the way he could blend everything together. He's got great kicks. He's got great boxing, and he's got really good takedowns. And he gets, he's got good takedown defense. So it's the way he puts it together. Like some guys are really good boxers, some guys are better kickers. He's doing it all. Like and some guys are good low line kickers. He could kick low, he could kick high. Some guys don't have the flexibility like he has. Like he has a gift for that. Some guy you can't train that. You got to almost be born with it. And I think he's just really good at what he's got and how to use it. But yeah, very technical with the boxing. He understands it. Kicking wise, really, really good. Great flexibility. Again, he blends it well. He's very explosive on the takedowns, and he's hard to hold down. So that's a great combo for him. So um, he's really looking good. But that's what really makes him special. He's just very technical and good cardio, good gas tank, good power, good speed. All the things you look for in a fighter.
When you do have somebody who's got kind of this natural gift for like all these levels in striking, you as a coach, I mean, that's got to be a dream, right? It just
A
makes it
hundred
easy,
percent.
right?
Yeah, it's a dream. Look, it's a dream when anybody like even like Weidman, they're just coming in with that wrestling pedigree. That's a dream. You get to work with a guy like that who's eager to learn the striking and understands it. Same thing with Nas. You know what I mean? It's always makes it easier. 100%.
Of course. And he's coming off, Nas is coming off the win over Terrence McKinney, who was also the last guy to beat Frevola,
Yeah.
before he went on his run, of course. You know, it's not a very common occurrence, but what is it like for you and your team when one of your guys can, sort of avenge the loss of another?
Yeah, to me, it doesn't really mean anything, but I will use it as motivation. I'm just saying it really doesn't mean anything. But if I could get an extra 2% out of my guy by saying something or doing something, I'll 100% do it. But, everybody's so different. It's not linear logic. If A could beat B, B could beat C. It's just fighting doesn't work like that. Everybody brings something different to the table. But it's always good even though that fight was short, it's always good to have a guy that fought somebody because you get a better feel for what it's like to be in there with him. Sometimes, like you don't see it. Like a guy might have an average build with above average strength. Like I call that guy a sleeper, right? He looks like a skinny guy, but he's got animal like strength, and if to get a jump on that is good. So if a guy fought somebody and said, "Look, you can't let him get on your neck. He's got great squeeze strength." That's a huge thing, I think. So it's always good for that, but that's about it. Not you don't want to get tied up in like revenging something, right? It's like even in life, they say if you go out for revenge, bring two shovels, one for his grave and one for your grave. So I kind of steer clear of that. We take each individual as like a new challenge, and like again, if I could do something to manipulate, press a couple of buttons, I'll do it. But at the end of the day, it's everybody's different, and every game plan is going to be different.
Of course. And then Buzukja, of course. This is the first time he's got a full camp for a UFC
Right.
fight. Very short notice, of course. The last time it didn't go the way
Yeah.
you guys would have liked, but what did you guys take away from that first fight, that first experience?
It's funny because even after the fight, I go to Aljo. Do we even break down the fight, or it's not worth it because we know he took it on 2 days notice or whatever it was? You know what I mean? And like I was, yeah, it's hard to really be critical because just to make that weight and make that walk is tough enough. And I thought for what he had and the guy in front of him, I thought he had a really game effort. If you go back and look, he had his moments in the fight. Uh, and it's hard to put together anything on 3 days. So I give him a lot of credit. He wanted to get in the UFC. It was a hard road to get in there, but now he's had time to train, and this should be a totally different fight.
I know he was very active, very pushing to get that
Yeah.
opportunity in the UFC.
Right.
It
And
did finally manifest for him, of course. And again, he does have this full opportunity here. But he also had some unique experience in the fact that he'd been in the corner for a lot of big fights like Aljamain Sterling you mentioned. What do you think cornering fighters like that who are on that stage, like Aljo was. What does that do for like the development of a young fighter like Dennis?
Well, I'll tell you, it's funny. You don't. And look. First off, that's a great question. I don't know how I'm gonna answer this, but I think it could be like a blessing and a curse. And I think that what kind of happened to Buzukja, he was put in a position where he's training with these guys. He's not there yet, but he's training with these guys. He's in the corner. He's a young kid. So that's got excitement wise, as a 22-year-old, 23-year-old, 25, you're not beating that. I'm in Aljo's corner, but what does that mean? It means you're in the corner. You know what I mean? Like if you think you're better than you are because of that, that's a negative. You know what I mean? Just take it for what it is. You know what I mean? And hopefully it's a good experience because like I would always like he's really been around a long time, like you say. For a young kid, it's almost a dream come true. He's traveled the world with like Al and Aljo, and what a great opportunity for a young guy. But I think the focus on this camp was to concentrate about Dennis Buzukja. Nothing else means anything. Like that really doesn't, like if you're the other guy, you going, holy crap, I'm fighting Buzukja. He was in Aljo's corner, you know what I mean? That would be like stupid too. But I think if he uses it the right way, I think it's a great tool. But sometimes it could go like you think you're at a difference. Now he's got to earn it. Like he's got to go in there and fight. Yeah, I don't give a whose corner he's been in. It's a fist fight. So he's kind of had. I think that's almost a praise. Kind of had a lot thrown at him before he got in the UFC. So this will be interesting because he had a great camp. And I think once he gets on the roll, he's going to be really good. So this is a really important fight for him. And plus, he's got Aljo and Al in his corner, which, he really looks up to those guys. They've helped him out a lot. So I think he's in a good spot for this fight.
And you're saying, we really didn't get to see kind of that version of
yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah.
Help people who aren't familiar with Dennis's game. What is he like? What kind of fighter are we talking about?
Well, I think stand-up wise, he's good. He's as good as anybody, even in the UFC. I mean, the kid's got a great chin. He's got great boxing, good kicks, good takedown defense. I mean, he's got decent jujitsu. Yeah, he's in a good spot right now. We had a smart camp with him. And he's been dealing with a lot of not injuries, but he might have had that long COVID. When COVID came around, that decimated him. He was out for a while. I don't know if your lungs get scarred. So he's been battling through some stuff, but he's good to go now. I think he's made all the right adjustments, and I'm excited for his fight.
That's great. That's great. And I didn't. We mentioned Aljo before. I do want to ask you a little bit about Aljo here. He's again, obviously coming off of another fight that didn't go the way you guys wanted. There's been a lot of public projecture. Where's the title shot going to go against Sean O'Malley with another one of your guys? Merab Dvalishvili in the mix too, and now it's kind of like, is it going to go to one of them or is it going to go to Marlon Vera? Are you getting any sense of where this is going? Have you heard where the wind's blowing?
Yeah, no, I got a sense of where it's not going, and that's to my gym. For sure. Dana's got I think I just left Aljo. We talk about like what I don't like sometimes. I like consistency. Like, what I mean? You can't treat one guy one way and another guy another way. When you're running a business, you gotta have that equality. You know what I mean? Like, just even this last thing, like, why does Jamal Hill get injured? And he relinquishes his belt right away. Now John Jones has a really bad injury. He's not. Like, doesn't make any sense to me. I was going through this on the podcast on Anakin Florian, like, so you got guys fighting for an interim title. This other guy's probably out for a year. Say whoever wins next week. And he's like, what do you do now? He wants to fight in 4 months. You have another interim title? Like nothing. Some of the stuff is just, I just think you got to keep it consistent. This is the rule. If you get hurt, you're out for more than 8 or 9 months, you relinquish the title. You don't hold anything up. Like, why does one guy do one thing, another guy does another thing? Aljo, he didn't want to fight. You know what I mean? That fight, he really didn't. He was vocal about it. But they made him fight. Obviously, it didn't go our way. But where's O'Malley? I thought he was fighting in December. He wanted to fight. Well, it's okay for him to wait for February and get 5 months off. That stuff, I don't like it. I mean, if they correct that stuff, Yeah, I guess, look, in life, you're always going to have favorites. It's who you know, not what you know type of deal. So, it's not my business. So it is what it is. Everybody knows what they're signing off for. But I like consistency, fairness. It's just too many, there's just too many inconsistencies. So, like, even like you say with the rematch, Aljo should get the rematch or the guy should fight Marab. I mean, why is there a ranking? If Marab's number one, why are you fighting the number 6 guy? Like, what's the purpose of the rankings then? So, I don't know. It's, you could talk about all you want. I'm not the guy making the decisions, and, that's the way it is. But Marab's not getting the fight. So, and Aljo's 100% not getting the fight. And Shelby did come in the back right after the fight and said, "You want a rematch?" Aljo goes, 100% yes. So why even ask him if he wants to rematch if he's not getting it? So go figure. I don't know.
Sure, sure. And it does seem like there is talking about interim titles, seems like they're very different now compared to, let's say, a decade and a half ago, back when Matt Serra was the champion. He
Yeah.
did get hurt and they did have to make an interim belt at that time. And it was very rare at that time. How do you feel about like kind of the way they do interim titles now compared to before?
Well, listen, when Serra got hurt, I'm trying to think. He was supposed to fight in December, right? Think about this. He got hurt in December or November, right? He had a herniated disc. He had to go for the epidural shots. That was December, and he fought in April. But it wasn't even 3 or 4 months they made him relinquish the title. I mean, I don't know. What does that mean? That's even worse. Now that you bring that up, yeah, I forgot about that. Or, that's horrible, man. I don't know. They,
I'm trying
look,
to bring up old
they,
wounds, but
no, you know what it is? They didn't want Serra to be the champion. They don't want Aljo to be the champion. It's not just my guys. It's whoever it is. They they're going to go where the money is. And if they feel like those guys aren't they're going to look to get somebody out. Like Aljo's never getting another chance there. I really don't think he will.
really.
Not in a while.
Do
There's
you,
no talk of anything.
well, let me ask you this because he made no secret before the fight. He was hoping to move up to 45,
Right.
challenge that belt too. And he does cut a lot of weight these days. I understand he had a much better cut for the last fight, though. But,
Yeah.
if he asks for your thoughts on the matter, would you rather see him stay at 35 or go up?
Man, me personally, I like Aljo at 35. But as he gets older, I just left him. He might be 205 now, so I don't know. If that's the case, we'll take 45. But I like Aljo at 35. But like again, I'm not the guy cutting weight, so he's definitely big enough to give a lot of guys problems at 45. So we'll see. We'll see where he wants to go. Now with Ngannou kind of beating Tyson, everybody wants to box now. So
Is that what Aljo's talking about? He wants to box?
I think Aljo wants to box now. I had him in the boxing class tonight. He's talking about everybody's talking about boxing.
Of course, of course. Now you've coached. We've already name checked all three of them. Three guys who won UFC titles: Aljo, Weidman, Matt Serra, all Long Island guys. It's crazy because other parts of the country that isn't necessarily. This is not necessarily considered like an MMA hotbed like Vegas or like Florida are, but Long Island produces champions. What is it about Long Island, in particular, your Serra Longo team, that's so special and so able to produce champions at this rate?
I think we got a great program, and that's really we first off the wrestling pedigree on Long Island is awesome. It's a great wrestling county, Nassau County, so and Suffolk County, and upstate New York is in general. But so you do get guys that come in with a pedigree. I think that always helps. And I think our program is good between me and Matt doing the jujitsu. These guys get a great start and if you're a born fighter or you understand fighting and you're getting trained well, I think that's the reason. I mean, right now we have 8 guys in the UFC, which is crazy. I never had more than 3 at a time. So, I think the better we did, the more talent we attracted too. But I'm saying nobody's ever going to do that. 3 guys from like 5 miles from the gym, all Long Island guys winning the title. I, it's like Vegas Florida. Give me guys that you train from the ground up. I mean, I don't, I'm not really letting guys come in from other eh, parts of the country. I would, but Long Island definitely isn't set up for that because it's too expensive. But these other camps, they're not really growing anybody. They're taking established fighters and maybe making them better, which is good. But I always try. I always like from the ground up, and you get to know people better, and you get to put your vision in there a little bit. So, I mean, I think that's going to be hard to beat. I'll be honest with you.
It is pretty impressive. And kind of
Yeah.
on that note, I want to leave on this. We've name checked a bunch of those guys, right? We know how many are coming out. Give me a couple of names, maybe one or two, who we're going to be hearing really soon, either in the UFC or another major promotion.
That are going to be in the UFC.
Yeah, coming up.
We got 8 guys. We got 8 guys in. So I mean, it's there's not many guys left. I don't think, but I'd say, I don't want to make a mistake. Dylan Montello, who I love, just lost in the Contender Series. Yeah, I would have thought him. We got Armando Pumi, who they don't want. Pumi's undefeated, maybe never lost a round, but they don't like him for some reason because he's maybe wrestling based, but he's fantastic. So if for some reason they changed their mind on him, I think you would see him around a lot too. But that's for the up and coming guys. Yeah, we got to say I need another year on that.
Okay, okay.
Most of the guys are in now. But the guys we wanted to get in, we got in. So I know I'm probably blowing something I'm not thinking about, but
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know.
you'll hear about it at the gym. They'll be hitting you.
Yeah,
Hey, what
somebody's
about
gonna
me? What
remind me.
about me?
Yeah, 100%. I'm gonna get that for sure. But right now, I'm content with as many guys. I don't really want any more guys in, which is crazy. But man, I always like to keeping it small. I mean, this is the first time, so we'll see. Like COVID kind of killed us, man. We were really tight knit, and people moving and losing Weidman, losing Aljo, losing Marab, even though they have houses here still, not totally lost, but that's a tough hit, man. We were COVID. COVID screwed up a lot of things. I think we did a great job surviving it, and everybody flourished during it, and we're still going strong. So, yeah, next week's a big night, man. I expect 3 wins. Frevola, I mean, they all got really good fights. So this is exciting.